The regular meeting of the South Colony Board of Education is called to order. Roll call. Thomas Blakely.
Here.
Brian Casey.
Here.
Stephanie Cogan here. Vincent Parenzo.
Here.
Rose Gigliello.
Here.
Jennifer Houlihan.
Here.
Michael Keane.
Here.
David Keel.
Here.
Christopher Larrabee is excused. Robert Misick.
Here.
Pledge to the flag, please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes. These refer to the minutes of our regular meeting of February 3rd, 2026. Are there any edits or comments? Hearing none, I will take a motion. Mr. Blakely, second, Ms. Gigliello. On the motion made by Mr. Blakely, seconded by Ms. Gigliello, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the February 3rd, 2026 meeting be approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Agenda item number 4, superintendent update. Dr. Perry.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Cogan. Good evening, everyone. Good to see everybody. Just wanted to provide some updates on some events we've got going on, highlighting our students. So March 3rd and 5th, grade 7 and 8 concerts going on at Sand Creek. To get an opportunity to come and celebrate our students in middle school. March 10th is our first draft of our instructional budget. Tonight we present the student support services component of the budget, and on March 10th at Saddlewood we will present the total budget as the first draft, and that begins at 6:30. March 12th through the 14th, our Line and Q drama program at the high school is presenting Mamma Mia. Most of the shows are 7 o'clock. Saturday, there's 2 shows at 1 and 7 p.m. So come out and support that. And we got a number of teams and individual athletes that are continuing on in sectional play. So good luck to those students as they come back from the winter break, hopefully well rested and ready to go. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. I know we're battling the cold and snowy weather and stuff like that, but it's good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 5, new business. Anyone? Mr. King.
So while it's not district related, it is our community. Want to give thanks to the town of Colony. Living in West Albany, I got to watch construction project down at the Pocket Park and wasn't sure what it was. And then all of a sudden there's now a ice skating rink for kids and adults to utilize. And, you know, it's a great way to, get kids off the keyboard and have them, go skate, and maybe they can buy some curling shoes and shuffle across the ice.
That's right. Can we count on seeing you there, Mr. King?
I am scouting for skates. They'll be open. They're opening for 30 days this year. And then, so they utilize some COVID funds, and it's got some refrigeration technology that will make it a lot easier to utilize than just we grew up with. They put ice on the tennis courts, and
That's right.
you got what you got.
Yeah. Terrific. Thank you very much. Anyone? Ms. Gigliello.
I don't get to go to as much anymore because I have a new role in life, but I was able to go to the Forest Park one in the year, and it was adorable.
It was. It was, yes. Thank you very much. Mr. Keel.
I would just like to say, I've said this many, many times. One of the best parts of this job, probably the best part of this job, is going to the elementary schools to see all the different things that are going on. And I'll tell you, the UPK kids at Saddlewood put on a wonderful, they call it the Cabin Fever presentation. Amazing, because they're now 4s and 5s years old, and they had probably 10 different little songs or skits that they did, all from memory, and it was wonderful. Forest Park, that's the one you just mentioned, was great. We also, they had a lunar parade at Veeder that I liked and at Roselleville. And I just noticed that on the 27th, Friday, the 27th, we're going to Shaker Road for another one. So they're just wonderful to see those little kids and big kids and adults and everybody else. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Forenzo.
Most recently, iCare has been mainly focusing on development of Pack Fest, and which will, as a reminder, is May 16th, 2026. Like how Dr. Perry said, Mamma Mia is going to be held on March 12th through the 14th. I know the Line and Q is looking forward to putting that on. Most recently, high school has had this thing they've been doing called the Art of Resilience, and we had a virtual assembly. And this is in partnership with Bring On the Spectrum and other local special needs and just community-based organizations. And it was a great assembly that we all had to we did with our classrooms, and it was just great. And then I don't usually do this very often, but I talked to Mr. Brill about it. A few minor concerns at the high school is that in English and social studies wings, there's a bit of a heating and cooling problem, whether or not the rooms are a little too hot, a little too cold. And it's either 80 degrees or it's 65 degrees. And that's just where it is right now. And then parking visibility after it snows. And so a lot of the people that have to find the parking spots that are numbered, and then that's just whether or not the district is the one that plows or it's the town. It's just something that a lot of students have been talking about. And it's just something that we want to rectify. That's about it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you letting us know. Mr. Casey.
In this school district, we have a phenomenal music department, as I think we all can realize. And recently I see that Mr. Hartel has been nominated for a Barry Manilow Award. And people vote on it.
Mhm.
So those that are watching, those that are here, if you have friends and relatives, might be nice if we all got on the internet and voted for Mr. Hartel. And I guess it's a pretty prestigious award. There's a whole bunch of music teachers across the area here that are nominated. So I would suggest you take a look at that.
And it does bring some money into our music program. You never know. All right. Thank you. Very good catch. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Very good. Dr. Perry.
Yeah, I just wanted to pass along our condolences to Beth Roy's family. We lost Beth as a member of Sand Creek most recently, and also to the family of Rick Dunn. Mr. Dunn was a board member from 2007 to 2012. His wife worked for our district office for many years, and his son is a graduate as well. So our condolences to both those families.
Thank you.
We're going to talk that later.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much then. Agenda item number 6, this is communications. I do have some public comments, but first okay, Christie is here, all right. First, Mr. Cachadorian is going to go ahead and explain the process and the parameters.
Not to be the rule enforcer, but I'm gonna be the rule enforcer. We just need to make sure that we stick to a time schedule. So we're gonna look at all of our speakers, 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning and try and keep it thereabouts so that we can keep this moving forward. And the total number of submissions that we have in the topic should be about 15 minutes total dedicated to this conversation.
All right, so I do have, there's no online comments because Christie
She's here.
is here. All right. Hey, Christie. All right, Chrissy, would you like to go ahead first then? Do you have your comments in front of you?
Sure.
Okay, come on out so we can see you. Yeah, right here, that's fine. We got you.
Okay. Dear members of the Board of Education, I'm here as a parent of a current middle school student in a co-taught classroom and as an engaged member of our district community. I would like to respectfully request that the board review the availability of co-teach programming at the high school level and explore sustainable ways to expand it beyond the 9th grade. Currently, co-teach services are available in 9th grade only. For students who rely on this model for academic success, competence, and meaningful access to curriculum, the transition into 10th grade and beyond presents a significant concern. Families are left wondering how supports that have proven effective for years can simply end due to structural or financial limitations. Co-teaching is not an enhancement, as for many students, it is critical service model that allows them to access grade level instruction alongside their peers while receiving the supports outlined in their IEPs. When the structure changes, students are often expected to adjust to reduce support rather than a system adjusting to meet their documented needs. I understand that financial sustainability is a real concern for any district decision. However, I respectfully ask the board to examine whether restructuring, creative staffing models, grant opportunities, or phased implementation could allow co-teach programming to be expanded to 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in a fiscally responsible way. Our district has long expressed a commitment to doing what is right for our students, ensuring continuity of services for students who benefit from co-teach models aligned directly with that commitment. I would welcome the opportunity to participate in any discussion, committee work, or parent collaboration focused on strengthening inclusive programming at the high school level.
Thank you very much, Percy. Next up, Danielle Snyder.
Go over there too.
Hi, Danielle.
Hello,
Thank
good
you for
evening.
coming in tonight.
Thank you for having me. I was told 5 minutes. I'm going to talk as fast as I possibly can without you not being able to understand.
Thank you, Danielle, very much.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Snyder, and I am here with my husband, Rob, and my daughter, Lila. I'm a South Colony grad, a lifelong resident, a parent of 2 children educated in the district. I'm a teacher here. I worked in all 5 elementary buildings, the Youth Detention Center. I've coordinated MTSS. I've delivered professional development both in South Colony and other districts, and I've served as a literacy coach. I have more than 25 years experience observing how special education services in South Colony have evolved, sometimes forward, sometimes not. Tonight, I'm here as a parent advocating for all students, including my daughter, and for families who might not realize their right within the IEP process, those who couldn't be here tonight, and those who are not comfortable publicly speaking. We all would like to urge the board and the administration to re-examine, restructure, repair, and in this case, restore the special education program that is based on our current population of students and their needs. So speaking from like legal perspective, under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, this is so much harder when you're not all 5 and 10. It's not. The IDEA, students with disabilities, they're guaranteed, I'm sure a lot of you know this, free, appropriate public education, appropriate evaluation, individualized education plan, parent participation, procedural safeguards, and education in the least restrictive environment. The least restrictive environment requires that students be educated with their non-disabled peers to the maximum extent appropriate, with removal occurring only when education cannot be achieved satisfactorily in the general educational supports. The New York State Education Department recognizes integrated co-teach as a legally supported service model that does comply with the LER mandate. Right now at CCHS, there is co-teach in 9th grade only. There's co-teach in ELA, math, science, and social studies, which by the way is more co-teach than they receive in 8th grade. So it has not existed in 10th, 11th, or 12th grade since COVID. If a co-teach program is determined by a CSE to be the student's least restrictive environment in 9th grade, what changes so drastically by 10th grade that these services disappear? Just asking you guys to all ponder this with me. Have the needs of every single one of those 30 to 60 students changed, or has the program availability changed? It is concerning to me that the service availability dictates placement rather than student needs. This is an example of how we are not honoring the individualized mandate of IDEA. Additionally, this creates a gap in the continuum of services and the curriculum, a disruption in consistency, potential unnecessary movement to least restrictive settings, reduced access to Regents level pathways and graduation requirements. This is not only at the high school, this is also at the elementary school. In that area, we have integrated co-teach is only available in certain buildings. So some families can have a student in more than one building at the elementary level. They're asked to move some of their children. And students who stay do not receive the support they need. 15-1 programs are not available despite their need. This inconsistency creates systemic barriers and inequitable access to all IDEA mandates across buildings. Right now, South Colony is operating from an inconsistent philosophy for struggling learners. And I've heard there's data showing these things all work, but what defines the success of all these things? Are we talking about Regents attainment? Are we talking about independence, post-secondary readiness, long-term outcomes, parents that don't know their rights or don't complain? Was longitudinal data reviewed across multiple years and service models before eliminating co-teach beyond 9th grade? When programs are cut or limited due to the structure rather than student need, the burden shifts to the classroom teachers, ultimately impacting every student in the room. And I'm sure everyone here is aware that the reality of today's learners, they're becoming increasingly complex. We have English language learners, twice exceptional students, students with trauma histories, social emotional challenges, disabilities, health impairments, attention needs, and I could probably tell you even more. I am respectfully requesting that the district review the current special education continuum, re-examine compliance with all IDEA mandates, develop and implement a consistent, developmentally appropriate K-12 service model, and revive integrated co-teach at the high school level beginning 26-27 by reallocating staff. For example, if we reduced the integrated co-teach staffing to but to ELA and math with some support staff in science and social studies, we could have co-teach in more than one grade, at least moving on. We have the opportunity here to be proactive rather than reactive and to protect student dignity and to fix this before students fail, disengage, or lose access to equitable graduation pathways and bright independent futures. I'm closing. South Colony should provide appropriate programs based on student needs from kindergarten through graduation. The current gap between 9th and 10th grade creates the systemic barriers that we really need to rethink. It's time to re-examine how South Colony is supporting students district-wide and ensure that South Colony is fully aligned with all the pillars of IDEA, including the least restrictive environment mandates. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. I have copies of the things I spoke about, another example from a parent. I also have an email from a parent who couldn't be here tonight. I wasn't aware there were quite this many people, so I have 10 copies. I'll leave them with Amber if that's okay. And you can get them.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Appreciate it.
Next up, Emily Purvis.
Hey guys, I'm kind of in the middle. I apologize to anybody that I have my back to, but here I am. Sure, I'll come over to the spot.
That's fine.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
So good evening and thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of many students and their families in the district being challenged by the practice of co-teach after 9th grade. Each and every year of a student's education is important, building on things they learned previously. Removing co-teach after 9th grade puts many students at a disadvantage while the course load continues to be more challenging. Co-teach is beneficial and necessary for many students with an IEP or a 504, but is also good for the students without identified challenges. Co-teach can allow for smaller group instruction, better classroom management, with multiple adults being available, and varied teaching styles for all students in the classroom. Additionally, the removal of the co-teach structure for the 4 core subjects and replacing it with resource room, which is not even available every day in some cases, disproportionately impacts students who are already facing learning barriers. The school district has a responsibility to provide equitable education to all students, but continues to minimize resources for this highly vulnerable population. The lack of co-teach after 9th grade will put students at greater risk of failing, being more stressed, having higher anxiety, worse attendance, and even worse yet are the students who will be pushed to a more restrictive learning environment due to the vast differences between co-teach and resource room models. Just as reading support shouldn't disappear after sixth grade, but it does. Co-teach needs to not disappear after ninth grade. We can't keep taking away from our vulnerable students while advancing our top learners through more college level opportunities each year, and in good conscience, be able to say that equitable learning environments are provided for all. I wholeheartedly wish South Colony would look at this with a wider lens. We need to see the district doing the right thing for all students, no matter how big or small their accomplishments down the road may be. And have these students be able to say they received the best opportunities for success from South Colony, rather than some being handed the bare minimum to get them through a broken system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Next up, Erica Blakely.
I'm Andrew Blakely, so at the start of sixth grade, I was barely passing any class. I had like 60s, 50s, not really passing. So when I switched over to co-teach at the second half of the sixth grade year, I really passed. I was passing all my classes. I was caught up on reading, math, thanks to Miss Sacco. And so that really helped me out with co-teach, and getting rid of it will just like make me fall behind as like a student in this. Personally, I will fall behind if I don't keep co-teach with me, because like I'm a student athlete, so I want to be able to play sports, but without co-teach, I couldn't get sports maybe because I might be failing class. If I'm failing class, I can't play. So co-teach will help me be able to pass classes more and not me worry about not being able to play. And I used to tell my mom like I can't do this, I suck. Like, but then once I got co-teach, I did really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your firsthand testimony. That makes us, means a lot. Very good job. Siobhan Kelly. Siobhan, I beg your pardon, Siobhan.
Good morning. My name is Siobhan Kelly, and I am the parent of a fourth grader at Veeder and an eighth grader at Leisha Hill. Many of you don't know me, but you know my husband. He's always behind the camera, MJ Kelly or Matt Kelly. He does a lot of the school photos, the district photos at all the sporting events. I'm here as a parent and as an educator with over 25 years of teaching experience in both New York City and the Capital District to advocate on behalf of my son, Eamon, and the present and future students of Colony. Some of you have gotten to know my son at this year's varsity football games. He was the one running the scoreboard and the cameras, and if anybody had questions, he was the one that everybody went to. When you have a conversation with him, you would see how talented and creative he is with his technology, but you would never know that he faces a quiet battle each and every day with dyslexia. I believe that South Colony has failed the students once, and I cannot sit back and watch it happen again. During COVID, the district failed to provide the students in Colony with an in-depth education. I was shocked to see with my own eyes that elementary students only received 45 minutes of instruction each day, while surrounding districts provided instruction in both math and ELA. I was logged on from 7:30 to 2:15 every day teaching. At this age, students' brains are sponges and they're ready to absorb crucial information and learn all of the foundational skills needed for the future. Students were not provided phonics instruction, nor were they provided with a reading program that was had phonics built into it. We all know that the Units of Study by Lucy Calkins has faced negative feedback as it lacks explicit foundational skills such as phonics and phonemic awareness. Because of this, I believe that my son has been playing catch up ever since. For over 4 years, I have battled for my son to be evaluated. I was also told that he needed to go through the RTI, or if it's MTSS now, process and much more. I had to advocate for him to receive reading support, which blew my mind because if there are successful systems in place, the district would have known from all of his assessments that he struggled and would need interventions, and after no progress was made, then it should have led to a referral for a psycho ed evaluation. Instead, I had to write a letter for him to be evaluated and then be told that he was ineligible for an IEP, even though the test results supported that he was dyslexic. He was ineligible for an IEP, but he was recommended to receive specially designed instruction to support reading, comprehension, and written language. I asked if he could receive the Wilson's reading program and was told no. Why are students denied the programs that will help them learn best? After watching him continue to struggle in school and having conversations with experts in the field of special ed, lawyers, and parent advocates, I decided to have him reevaluated. It was not until this year that I was successful at getting him an IEP with appropriate supports. Now, with the help of Mrs. Sacco and the Wilson program, I have watched my son gain confidence in his reading and have a better understanding of phonemic awareness. I ask that the district please reflect on the programs that are offered within the district, especially when it comes to the special education population, as well as reevaluate procedures that are put in place when it comes to interventions. Why must parents constantly fight for what their children deserve in South Colony? What happens to the students who do not have parents to advocate for them? Did they get lost in the district, the students? What happens to the parents who sit in on the meetings to the, hold on, my son printed it, what did he do? Oh, there we go, sorry. What about the parents who attend meetings unaware that they have the right to bring an advocate with them? It is time for meaningful reflection within the special education department. Parents and teachers should not feel helpless or fearful that decisions are not being made in the best interest of each child. Teachers should not fear of retaliation for speaking up about what their students need, as they are the ones who are with our children more than any of us are, and they know them the best, as they see them on a daily basis. For like 6-7 hours, we only get them a limited amount. Our children deserve equitable access to effective educational programs and deserve a right to have teachers speak up for them. Please consider the success of co-taught classrooms in elementary and middle school. Why eliminate them at the high school level? Do not undermine, sorry, too old to read this. Do not undermine our children's self-esteem or separate them from peers they learn alongside for over 8 years. Do not dismantle programs that have demonstrated success. As New York State Education Law 89, Part 200 guarantees students with disabilities a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. That is not a suggestion, it is the legal and moral obligations. I urge the district to recommit to transparency, evidence-based instruction, and decisions grounded in what truly is best for students. Work with parents, not against them. Ensure that no one's needs are minimized, delayed, or denied. Our children are watching, they are counting on you, and we will continue to advocate until every student in South Colony receives the education they are legally entitled to and the one that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kelly. And that is all for the public comments. Thank you all for coming in. It is very much appreciated. What is going to happen now is that we're going to take all of these comments under advisement. There was actually a meeting today and there's going to be further discussion.
Yeah, we've got our budget workshop coming up next week, and then the first draft of the budget will continue to look at this.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to continue on with the meeting. I would personally love if you'd like to stay and listen to everything, because I think this is all very exciting stuff. But if you don't want to, we certainly understand if you would like to take your leave, and you may do so now. Thank you all for coming in tonight. We certainly appreciate it. If there's any participation in government students, you still must have to be here. You can't leave with them. But anybody else, if you'd like to take your leave, you may do so now. Thank you. Agenda item number 7, board committee reports. A, academic achievement. Mr. Keel, you are the committee chair. Is there anything you would like to say, point out for your meeting that was held on February 3rd, 2026?
No, I would just offer to answer any questions or have the participants that were here answer any questions about that presentation. It was about the high school and all the different opportunities there. Nothing? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Agenda item number 8, reports for information. Letter A, 2026-2027 budget discussion. Ms. McAllister, you are up.
Wait for my
Connection.
connection. Success. Sorry. I know, she doesn't like it. So tonight we're going to continue our discussion of our 26-27 budget development. Tonight is a budget update and focus on student support services. The student support services team is here and open for questions if we need to. We will move on. Our priorities for 26-27, as we've said before, academic equity and opportunities for all students, structure and sustainability programs, continuing preparation and implementation of sports for graduate, and enhancing our facilities next generation project. We've hit these many times with board, so I'm gonna breeze through these. We have revenues, last year's trends and this year's as well. We'll hit more of them on when we hit the discussion on March 10th, the next week's budget discussion. So the one thing that we have to discuss tonight is our tax cap, and it is due for the state to put a preliminary number in by March 1st. So we would like to present it to the board tonight for consideration. There are three pieces that go into the tax cap formula. One is the allowable levy growth factor. This is where our 2% cap comes from. Now, inflation is over 2%, but we are capped at 2%. That's where the nomenclature of 2% tax cap comes in. The tax cap also comes into play with our tax-based growth factor and our capital exclusion. That is where we get our total tax levy limit. So our tax-based growth factor for this year is 1.0031. That is down from last year. That's our growth in our community. So our community, the growth in 1.0 is average among the state. So we are very average, but it is declining. It has gone from, I have the numbers there, but 0.0077 to 47 to 77 again to 59. We're just not seeing the buildup in the district. We're kind of built out. So that's kind of where that comes from. The capital exclusion is where we have our net difference of our capital expenditures less our aid as an exclusion. That allows us to levy for capital projects or debt that we have, less the aid. So anything that we have for the next gen project is where we would see that in this tax cap. Now, without the capital project for this year, our tax cap is about 2.5%. This year, with the capital project, with that exclusion that we are allowed to add, we're hitting about 3.5%, very similar to last year's number where we're looking at that additional 1% implementation of the next gen project. Overall, that was spread out over 4 to 5 years. So that is our second year. This is our second year, and we're looking at a 3.49 estimate of our levy increase this year, staying under the cap of 3.5128, and yes, it goes to 4 decimals. And on the left hand side of the chart, we have our inflation and then our tax levy growth factor. So inflation is 2.7, yet we're only allowed to use the 2.0 number in our tax cap calculation. So this is what I will be submitting to the state by Friday because it's due March 1st. So we'll submit the 3.5128 with our estimate of 3.49, but that can change as we go through the budget development process, but we just have to give the state a preliminary number. So I'll submit that by Friday and we'll be compliant. And so that's what we're looking at. And I will, next week when we do our first draft, I'll give you all the numbers behind that. It's about $2.8 million to be able to levy additional on our $80 million levy. So our student support services budget goals for 26-27 are, the priorities include, collaboration, consistency, data-driven decisions for student support services, aims for IEP alignment, self-contained curriculum development, and least restrictive environment. The SPED Council is focused on state assessment proficiency, parental involvement, and timely evaluations, and trends show an increase in social emotional needs and shortage of preschool-related service providers. Now, I believe that we did share out to the board a lot of data ahead of time in the of the student support services program. So if there's any questions on that as well, the team is here for that. We are looking at adding a few programs back into the fold this year. So an additional section of 612 at Forest Park, that'll bring our 4 sections currently, increasing them to 5. We're looking at an additional section of 612 at Sand Creek. So we have our 3 sections returning to 4. We had 1 budgeted this year, so we would have that go back to 4 for next year. It wasn't needed this year based on the numbers. And an additional section of integrated co-teach at 4th grade at Veeder. We have a bubble coming up from 3rd grade, and to give them the availability, we have 2 sections at Veeder. And this would all be utilizing current staffing, no additions there. We have a proposed classroom and support staffing. So we were looking at a full-time E&L teacher to be able to help at point 6 at the high school and point 4 at Forest Park. So we have our E&L population that has grown over the past few years to be able to support the high school needs. And Forest Park, we're looking to add a 1.0 to that. And student support services needs for the programs, we need a TA and a monitor to support some of those programs. Just to keep on the radar, we a lot of times talk about the teaching, but we need to make sure that we're budgeting for the support staff as well. So non-cross classroom staffing additions, we're looking at a full-time psychologist. This year we had 0.5 budgeted. We had added that in last year's budget, but we weren't able to fill that. We're looking to move that to a full 1.0 to fully support our E&L students. Our behavior, and we're looking to add a behavior specialist. This would be a part-time position to support all buildings, and that is an addition that we're looking at, non-classroom specific, but to help all students. And the psychologist would allow for the Leisha Kill to have a full-time, Sand Creek to have a full-time, and some additional staffing there. So that allows just some more people in the buildings, and then being able to move someone to just work with our E&L population.
Can you just speak to what does the behavior specialist do?
Yes.
So I can
We have a lot of
assist you with that.
experts that can do that.
And feel free. But the behavioral specialist would not only work with individual students on management needs, but working with staff to help implement those management needs. So oftentimes we create behavior intervention plans, behavior management plans, and so that behavior specialist will go in and model some of those things, help to teach those things to staff, not only instructional staff, but support staff as well, and then continue to work with individual students as needed. The goal is that as those tasks come into place and those skills are developed, that the behavioral specialist is not needed all day long embedded in a classroom, so then they can work with other students. And because it's district-wide, the flexibility would be able to go to where the need is. If there's a child in kindergarten at Veeder that's struggling, that staff can then be supported by the behavioral specialist. Oftentimes right now, we bring in consultants who come and work for us for a day or two at a time, but to be able to embed that at a more daily level would be beneficial to our students.
And this has been something that has been brought up multiple times, and so we're adding it as a potential addition for this year. These are all, once we get to the first draft, we'll see where we land with all of these program additions and staffing additions. But this has been something that has been advocated for from the special department for a while, and we think it's time to put it in on paper. So,
Do you guys think that it'd be easier to get the full-time psychologist?
absolutely. That's the goal, to get that to 1.0 for sure. So we also have not staffing related, we have an increased number of outplaced students, so we would need to increase that budget line. I'll show you that all next week. Just some additional things that we need to take a look at when we're looking at the whole student support services budget. I have an update for everybody on our capital project. So we would like to do an additional vote in May 2026. When we planned for the capital project, the next gen 112.5 million vote in 2022, we did not plan on putting air conditioning in all of our classrooms that we were renovating. We were hoping we would be able to put some air conditioning in auditoriums that we were renovating. But with this, we did just decide to do that. And with the new regulation for heat related, we wanted to make sure that we were ahead of that curve. So we went ahead and approved that. Now, that was an additional cost that was not part of the original scope. To offset that, the district does have that additional scope. We do have $4.7 million in capital reserve. So we'd like to use that to offset air conditioning and cooling. Now with that, we have a building aid ratio. This is some reverse math here. Our building aid ratio is 69.2% going into next year. Now we do need voter approval to use the reserve. So while we're asking the community to support us in the air conditioning cooling realm, we would like to be able to borrow to the full extent to maximize our aid with no taxpayer impact, to borrow 13 million to be able to use the 4.7 to cover that local share, and it just maximizes and leverages our state aid to be able to get some additional work done that we did not plan for when we originally did the original bond vote. So that is something that we're looking to add for the May vote. So the May vote would have actually 4 propositions, something that we have not done in a while, but we're hoping that the community would support some of these initiatives. So we have our annual operating budget, which is always the first, in addition to our board election, which is always on the annual vote. Number 2 is our bus purchase. We have to continue with our bus replacement plan, which we've talked about in our transportation budget presentation, probably about a month ago at this point. The capital project, to use the capital reserve and leverage that to get 13 million in work done. So that would be number 3. And then number 4, because we're using our capital reserve, we can have a capital reserve set up and we have utilized that over the years. You have to reestablish an amount that you can leverage up to a maximum. So we're looking to establish a new capital reserve for up to 10 million. We do not add that right away. It gets added as we have any surplus annually. So if we have any surplus, we can go up to a new $10 million reserve. So those are 4 propositions that we're looking to add for May 19th. It is something that we have not done in a while, but it's something that we're looking to use and leverage and make sure that we can get maximum work done on our projects.
One more time. The 4.7 million
Mhm.
would net us a tax savings of 8.3 million.
Additional
reimbursement.
Additional spending power, if
Yeah,
you look at it that way.
Yeah.
So we can spend 13 million, we use 4.7 we currently have.
Yeah.
The state will give us the additional money, so.
Processing.
I know,
in my
it's the
head.
first
no-
math.
You're using the 69%, so that threw me off.
Yeah,
I know it's not a perfect math
Yeah.
because there are some unaided portions, so we have to account for that. So we want to make sure that we're being conservative and making sure that there's no potential for taxpayer impact. So in order to do that, the 13 gives us a good, comfortable number. We could go a little bit or creep a little bit up, but I think the 13 is a really good number to go for and gives us that opportunity to use the money that we spent on cooling so far
Right.
to finish, the work that we need
Doubles
to get
our
done.
doubles our investment.
It's
Absolutely.
more than,
Yeah.
it's really a no-brainer when you look at the math economics of it, because you'd be leaving $8 million on the table that the state's willing to reimburse and allow us to continue with our projects. The capital reserve in and of itself, by law, has to be reestablished every 5 years and has an aggregate cap. So as you add money into it, if you add 4 million and you take 4 million out, you're at 4 million. If you add 2 million more, you're now at 6 million. So once you get to that threshold, you can't go over the 10 million that was established. So you start a new account, basically a new capital reserve. And at that point in time,
It's all there.
the board will look at where we are at the end of this year to add monies back into the reserve for future projects. So it's finishing one and opening up
Yeah,
another
so
one.
this allows us to finish the one, yeah, absolutely, finish the one and open the next.
I know a lot of things in the news right now you read about locally is the declining birth rates and obviously student population went down. I mean, are we starting to see the trends here in this district as well, or is it just housing being such of a,
TJ, we had seen that from our graduation classes of 500 and things like that in the mid 90s, late 90s and things like that. Then we went down about 450. We've been pretty steady between 350 and 375. We're actually seeing an increase in numbers to our classes of now becoming about 400. So we don't see large increases, 400 going to 500, but we've crept back up in terms of our total population of students, which many districts have actually seen a decline. We've actually added some students, not to the point where we are busting at the seams with classrooms and things like that, but certainly it is a noticeable consistent enrollment. So that's good for our district. It's things you can predict and prepare. But as Ms. McAllister looked at the tax growth, we're not building a lot of new homes. We don't have a lot of increase in tax base. Homes may turn over and new families may come in, but we're not growing large neighborhoods that are adding 500 kids to a district.
We're also not growing a lot of commercial property, a lot of the, you drive down Route 7 and you see all these car dealerships. They're like, great for North Colony, for the tax revenue, but we're not seeing that growth here. Maybe when Tesla goes up, we'll see some increase there.
When you see some things that oftentimes Wolf Road, you think all of Wolf Road is in
Yeah.
South County. It's really from Sand Creek Road towards the mall in South County, and everything going north is really North County. It's kind of a little different in terms of where those lines are drawn. So hotels and some of the businesses that you think are very close to South County are actually on the north side of the town. So we have not seen the same commercial growth as you mentioned.
Has there been an audit, like a recent audit to compare the property taxes in North County that are actually in South County district? They can update, because a lot of Route 7 has been built since probably the last audit's been built. That might need to be you know,
Every property is assigned to, either district. Now, there are, like, when you build new developments, there may be like, there's a line where like that one house that's on the line can choose which, once it's in one district, it stays there, it can't move. Or you have to get approval from both superintendents and the BOCES district superintendent to approve to switch districts. So it's the tax map IDs are very defined and the map is.
They stay pretty.
They stay put.
We get a request maybe once every year for somebody who purchases a house and says, I thought it was going to be in this district versus that district. And, the same thing can happen in reverse and districts are reluctant to do that because that changes your overall ability to gain revenue or to add revenue back in. So those lines don't change much.
What is affecting us too is our equalization rate in the town is declining, so that means property values are going up, but the equalization, the assessments are the same, so that's where it may come into play. But a full assessment of the town of Colony would be, a full reassessment of the town of Colony would be a huge undertaking, and some towns have done it and it didn't go well, and then they had to readjust. So I think the town of Colony, I haven't really heard that they're looking at doing one soon. But that's where you look at the total assessed values. Like when I have to do our calculation for taxes, we look at the total assessed value, and then you look at the real property, the real value. We're about flat, and that's why I expect that this number is, and if I could ask North Colony what theirs is and figure out how it compares, because maybe they're seeing some of that because the equalization rate kind of affects.
I can tell you, they've seen growth. They've gone where they've increased about 1,000 additional students. We've seen an increase of maybe 400 to 500.
whether they have more room for more development,
Yeah.
residential development
Some of
in
the
that.
farmland along Route 2 and Route 7 there are starting
And to
to.
TJ's point, ours is very mature.
Right.
So
And we've
it
been
doesn't make
lucky to
sense.
see the growth that we have, I think. We have a development over at Shaker Road that we get enrollment projections from the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, and those include any new developments. That's where some birth rate information comes in. So I believe that we shared that with the board a little while ago. And I do have an enrollment projection chart. I'll bring it back up next week.
We'll be probably get more state aid than Northtown.
It's about equal, but when we, based on the enrollment, it's about equal. You would think, I know.
Our estimated foundation aid is higher than theirs this year, so.
Yeah.
As we looked at those numbers, percentage wise.
Percentage wise, we're seeing a large increase.
And the 70 new homes they're building off of what, Fly? District, correct?
I believe so. I'd have to double check. Some of those
Yeah.
might be in a few now.
Okay.
Might be a split.
I thought they were all in South.
The 70 new homes,
It's half South Colony and half Nisku.
it is half and half? All right, I wasn't sure. I thought for some reason I'd read it was all South Colony.
We'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
And once those come on the rolls, that's when we'll see another, maybe increase, and that's where you'll see that fluctuation, like the growth factor.
Even the properties that like, the old plant, in West Albany, Tobin's plant, the proposed, hotels and apartments that were going to be there was split between South Colony and the city school district of Albany and things like that. So whether it's school services or police or fire services, that all goes into the difference, but it was not all in one municipality versus the other.
So next week we have our budget workshop where we'll discuss the instruction budget, including the numbers associated with the ask today. We have a first draft total budget presented on March 10th. We'll focus on our instructional budget, and that's at Saddlewood. Everybody can join us, and we'll have a little bit more room. Then we'll have another budget workshop if needed on March 31st, and then we'll have our second draft and our community forum at Shaker Road on April 14th. And then we have another board meeting where we'll approve the budget, and then a public hearing at Saddlewood. And then the vote is May 19th at Leisha Kill and Save Creek. And then we'll certify the vote, hopefully, May 26th. And that is all I have for.
Have you heard any scuttlebutt about the state budget?
It's gonna be late, no.
We understand that, but no other figures or anything.
I was on a webinar today,
was Quest R3 as a state aid planning office, and then we did an analysis of the governor's budget. I believe that Dr. Perry has been on a few of those workshops as well. Our numbers are looking good. If we run the formula as is, the district is going to see an increase in foundation aid, which is a good thing for us. There are districts that are on hold harmless, and more districts this year have fallen hold harmless, kind of to the point that TJ made. A lot of districts are seeing, steady or some declining enrollment. And with that, you're not going to see, or your weighted pupils where like special ed or ENL students have a weighted pupil rate. They are seeing those, so we would see an increase in foundation aid there. So other districts in the areas, a lot of them are not seeing an increase in foundation aid, but the state budget is looking, if everything goes with what the governor says, we're looking good. Now, if the legislature makes a lot of changes, then it's up in the air on that.
Very good.
Any
Anything
questions
else?
from the board?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Agenda item number 9, reports and recommendations for action. This goes from letter A to letter H. Dr. Perry, is there anything you'd like to highlight on this portion?
Just the donations are always one. I think, Mr. Down what's for donation of school supplies and things like that. The health and welfare contracts are pretty standard for students that are receiving health services in some of the area private schools. And this is a way, if we provide the nursing services, we build back to those other districts that have students there.
Can you just clarify? There are two different numbers though. So we're being charged a higher rate by Bethlehem than what we charge Bethlehem.
That is true.
Because what is the scope of services? How does that not become a wash?
It may be the, whether there's multiple nurses or multiple health professionals provided for that particular school. So therefore, they break it down by the number of students that are there and the number of districts. You split it equally at that point in time. In some of our privates, we don't have a nurse full day, or we don't have a nurse every single day. So we have a portion of a nurse, and that having more districts involved with that may be the per pupil breakdown.
Gotcha.
It's a little less.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion. Mr. King, second. Mr. Mason. On the motion made by Mr. King, seconded by Mr. Mason, that the above stated reports and recommendations be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Agenda item number 10, personnel instructions. These can be found on pages 9 through 11 on your agenda. Mr. Ravalati.
Pretty straightforward business-like instructional agenda from our office this meeting. Appreciate all the coaches on here who give up their time to work with our student athletes. The majority of this list is coaches. Other than that, nothing about.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Mr. Casey, second. Mr. Blakely. On the motion made by Mr. Casey, seconded by Mr. Blakely, that the instruction personnel changes listed on the attached sheets dated February 24, 2026 be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Agenda item number 11, personnel support, pages 12 through 14. Mr. Ravalati.
Specifically, just want to thank and acknowledge Nancy and Dawn for their service to the district, nearly 40 years of service, working with our students, and they've been great colleagues and just great people. So thank you to Nancy and Dawn. I hope they enjoy their last few months with us and head off to a wonderful retirement.
I second that, Nancy and Dawn. Thank you so very much. There's a lot of work and effort. Certainly appreciate your service to our district. Anything else, anyone? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. Ms. Gigliello, second. Mr. Casey, on the motion made by Ms. Gigliello, seconded by Mr. Casey, that the support personnel changes listed on the attached sheets dated February 24th, 2026 be approved. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Agenda item number 12, resolution to declare intent to serve as lead agency and coordinate review for South Colony Central School District. Dr. Perry?
Yes, so in any capital project, you have to do environmental review to determine if there's an impact to the environment, if you're disturbing grass or trees or anything like that. We had established ourselves as the lead agency for the Next Generation project back in the beginning of the project. In order to do that, you have to reach out to a variety of agencies who may also have interest in being the lead. In this case, it's the town of Colony and the New York State Education Department. We give them notice that we are interested in being the lead agency. We work with the LA group who looks at the environmental impact and work with the architects to minimize that. But if the town or state ed or another entity that may be involved wanted to, they would also have rights, and then you kind of sit and talk and negotiate it out. In most cases, the state education department does not want to go to South Colony and become the lead agency for environmental review, nor does the town. The town's interest, they're aware of our project. So this is mostly procedural, but in order to establish ourselves as the lead agency, this is the notice. We will come back in March if we hear from these agencies that they're fine with it, and we will establish ourselves as the lead agent. And that is really working with, as I said, the LA group to determine and mitigate any environmental concerns. Just as an example, we looked at the property off of Walker Way a few years back. Part of that review was what are the environmental impact, and we were finding out more and more environmental issues that reduced that property from 57 acres to 27 usable acres, and then it was even reduced down further. So we chose not to purchase that property. That type of thing happens here. This is specific to our transportation center, the old BOCES site off of Waterloo Shaker Road. And we're obviously knocking down buildings, so there is an environmental impact. But what is that impact, and what is the mitigation to be able to do that? The reason that we're doing this is we've adjusted which building we were planning to demolish. In the original scope, we were planning to demolish the B, C, and D buildings. And right now we're looking at demolishing E and F. Slight change in footprint in the design of the building, so that's why we're reestablishing for that particular site. Probably more you need to know on. It's another acronym for you.
Add it to the list, Mr. Keeler.
All right, this is going to require a roll call vote, but before we do that, I will take a motion. Ms. Gigliello, and a second, Mr. Mason. And then I will have Ms. Lanigan make the roll call, please.
All right, Thomas Blakely,
Yes.
Ryan Casey.
Yes.
Stephanie Corrigan.
Yes.
Rose Gigliello. Yes. Jennifer Houlihan. Yes. Michael Keen.
Yes.
David Keel.
Yes.
Christopher Larrabee is excused. Robert Musit.
Yes.
Vote carries 8-0.
So tomorrow, Mr. Ryan's office, our school attorney, will send letters to these agencies notifying of our intent, and we'll wait to hear responses, and then we'll respond back in 30 days.
All right, thank you very much. Agenda item number 13 is a listing of all our future meetings that goes all the way until June. I understand by then the snow may have melted and I might be much happier by then. Because this is not doing it for me. Ms. Gigliello.
I will not be there for the April 14th.
The April 14th meeting, neither will I.
That is the BOCES budget adoption, and I believe that's the Wednesday meeting, just to keep that on.
No.
No.
29th, okay.
The
Oh,
29th.
there it is, so 29th.
And Steph, there's a possibility that I may not be here because I have a
Ooh,
conference.
we are dropping like flies. Okay,
We better ask, I think there's somebody else that can't make it.
there's going to be, so the
All
14th
right.
is something, Miss Lanigan, that you might want to poll everybody about, please. Because right now, as we're hearing it, there's going to be 3 absences.
Potentially.
potentially.
And I think Mr. Larry said something.
Mr. Larry's gone. Missed it. He'll be back. All right, very good. Is there anything else on the regular agenda that we? All right, if not, we do have a personnel issue. So we are going to ask to go into executive session. May I have a motion? Mr. Keen and Ms. Gigliello. On the motion made by Mr. Keen, seconded by Ms. Gigliello to enter executive session to discuss a personnel matter. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Time is 7:30. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. Stay warm.